Hey y'all. Okay, so I wanted to do a video on the actual losing my vision in my eye, and how that kind of went down, what that looked like, and everything. Just because there was so much other going on at the time that I feel like it needs to be a story on its own, on its own. Y'all know what I mean. So it is retinal vasculitis. It is a inflammatory thing with like the little vessels and everything. And it can happen from multiple autoimmune diseases. It doesn't just have to be lupus. Mine specifically is systemic lupus erythematosus, or SLE lupus. I have SLE lupus. I have discoid lupus, which is the one that makes my skin break out. I've dealt with lupus nephritis. All in all, it's just a very aggressive lupus. But the retinal vasculitis just is kind of part of it. And it's one of the ways that it presented, is by attacking my eye. So, I started having issues with my blood pressure and everything else, during these lupus flares. In September of 2020, I remember standing at my job, and I was marking down prices. I worked at Walmart, and I had this spell where I just started seeing stars. Like, it was like I had looked at the sun for too long, and when I looked back, it was just stars everywhere. And that lasted for about, in my mind, it lasted for an eternity because it was scary. It probably only lasted a couple of minutes. And then I would have random, sporadic events of that from September up until March. We didn't really know. Like I say, I thought it was a blood pressure issue at the time. March the 2nd is when I believe, it was either March the 2nd or March 4th. My blood pressure was really high. I had spent yet another day at the emergency room, just having a hard time in general with the lung issues and everything else. And I had been coughing a lot. So they thought that it was a retinal detachment when it happened. But I was getting ready to go to bed, and I kind of describe it like anybody that ever watched Winnie the Pooh, when he gets sad, the little black rain cloud that follows him around. That's kind of what happened. So it was like my eye it's like a little black rain cloud just came in there, and it just kind of grew. I was thinking, and this is probably the worst decision that I could have made, but I mean, it wouldn't have done any different. It wouldn't have brought it back. I went to bed. And the next morning, I was like, can't see out of my eye. I could see my peripheral. So I went back to the emergency room. They're like, oh, well, you most likely looks like a retinal detachment. We're pretty sure that that's what it is. Retinal detachments can be fixed. So I was like, okay, it's going to be yet another doctor we have to travel for and figure it out and everything. Well, after a couple of visits of going back and forth to Marietta Eye Clinic in Marietta, Georgia, such great people. They really took care of me. There was a Dr. K, who had a very long last name, and a Dr. Malith that I remember very, very vividly being very good to me. But they looked at everything, and they were like, we're not so sure this is a retinal detachment. My eye was full of just hundreds of blood clots and just inflammation. And so that's when that and everything else going on, they were like, okay, there's something autoimmune here. But we didn't know, because not all autoimmune diseases are treated the same. So we were going to try to figure out with the testing of all the fluid that was coming back and kind of go from there as far as treatments are concerned. So within that 2-week time period, I started having a spot right over here. And that was at the point when doctors were like, no, any damage that happens doesn't undo. So we're going to slam you on high dose steroids. We're going to freeze this, and we're going to preserve your eye. So, even though Lefty, she's just here, she still, I mean, like, sometimes it reacts to light, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes she just kind of goes off and does her own thing. They said that I can do a corrective surgery at some point if I want to make it to where it stays that way. I think I'm good on that for now. I know it's more obvious to me than it is anybody else. Most people wouldn't even know that it's not functioning if I didn't tell them. But that was basically my figuring out that the retinal vasculitis side of things, and I feel like that helped get my diagnosis faster, because there's so many lupus patients that it takes years because autoimmune diseases are so finicky and they're hard to diagnose. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise that I got my diagnosis the way that I did. The reason that I started doing these videos actually was February 7th. So a few weeks ago, I had a spell with Righty over here. We had gone down on one of my lupus medicines a little bit, just trying to get me to like a maintenance dose so that I don't have to stay on super high doses of everything my whole life. And it agitated the eye, and so a little damage was done. Put me back on steroids, which, yay, those are just oodles of fun. I know all my chronic illness people can probably agree that steroids are a roller coaster of emotions. But that was what kind of led me to start doing these videos. I'm completely open and ready to talk about lupus and all the things with it, but I just feel like there's not enough content on the eye situation and the retinal vasculitis. I've had so many doctors tell me, oh, you're so unique and this is so rare, and I'm like, I could have been unique and rare at anything other than this, but I just feel like I can reach somebody and let them know that retinal vasculitis can be maintained. I did have to learn to function a little differently because my depth perception's not very well. But your girl is out here living life. I'm good. One lesson that I've learned in this is you can't plan for stuff. So just make the best of each situation, and at the end of the day, it's all gonna work out. So anyways, like I said, if anybody wants to have any questions you want to talk about, or if I ramble too much and you want shorter videos or something, just let me know. I'm just trying to reach some people and help some people and make friends along the way, and I'll pray for you and everything else. And I love y'all, and thank you so much, and God bless.